Welcome back to Q&A with S&A. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Shane.
And today we are joined in the studio by the incredible Lisa Britcliffe. Lisa, tell us about you.
There you go, straight
I
into
literally
it.
just said, I don't like this part of the conversation.
Gotta rip the Band-Aid off.
And it's really interesting because I was on a podcast recently and I was listening back. She asked me the same question and I thought, oh my goodness, you sound so full of yourself. And I thought, but that's actually who I am. So who am I? Yes, I'm a mother. I have 3 boys. I'm a single mother. I also have 2 businesses. I've gone back into real estate. I've got an advocacy business, vendor and buyer. And I also organically started a networking business. I brought like-minded people together last year, and that's called Walk Your Talk.
Yep.
That doesn't say who I am, but that's what I do.
Yeah. So who is Lisa then? I'm not going to let you get away with
I
it.
got asked this question again yesterday. Somebody said to me, how would you be described? And I said warm, intuitive, empathetic. I read the room and I read people really, really well. And I genuinely care about making a difference in people's lives. So I'd say that sums me up. I am bold and I do tend to speak my mind. And I also am very much about shaking up the status quo, particularly in the industry. And on the whole, there's a lot of good people in the industry, but I'm really driven to create real change in an industry that on the whole does lack integrity, heart and care.
Yep.
And do you think you're going to achieve your outcome on that?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it's just me doing it. I believe that
good.
I'm just one of the many, but I can use my voice and I can use my influence and my connections and my network to do that. Yeah.
And you're seeing that change as you go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think when you walk your talk and you're transparent about who you are and you show up not as somebody that's perfect, fully imperfect, that people just trust you.
Yeah.
So that when you do speak, you're not having to prove that what you're saying is true.
Yeah. Everything that you've just said is exactly you and exactly the reason why you're here and why you and I have this connection with each other. And we were connected by another human who is in a similar vein to you, a very empathetic, very caring, very heartfelt person. And she sent a 3-way message that said, I think you guys need to know each other. And now I've probably seen you more than I've seen her in a little while, but her name is Shalini Mendes and she's been on the podcast before. She was one of our very first people that we interviewed. But when she connected us together, she said, you two are very similar. We are, but we're still very different. But the underlying connection is that we both do things because we just generally care about what it is that we're bringing to things. When we first met, you talked to me originally about the real estate business because the Walk Your Talk, that was just something that you were doing for a bit on the side. So we'll talk about the real estate side of things first because I think that is what you're doing there is really quite profound and has a real impact on, the community that you have a passion to work for. So tell us a little bit about the way that advocacy for real estate evolved for you.
So I've shared this story and I was coaching. So I left the real estate industry swearing I would never, ever return. I didn't like it. I also had twin boys born very early and one of them was diagnosed on the spectrum and all of that had me realise or think this industry is not for me. I'm highly sensitive, highly intuitive. I don't love the competition. I don't want to have to prove myself. So, and I had really low self-worth back at this time. This is 20 odd years ago. Fast forward, I left the industry and I ended up going through sort of 12 or 13 years of working in personal development and really understanding the human condition, what has people suffer, what has people thrive, understanding myself through the process, and then organically fell into mentoring and coaching because I was sort of seeing such incredible results personally. And then I went through my own major life transition 6 years ago or 6.5 years ago now, separated. And I ended up finding me and wanting to work with me because I had separated in a way that was on the whole harmonious, not acrimonious.
Yeah.
And so I did that for about 4 years, and then I had what I call a God moment where I'd made a really poor decision with an investment, and I lost a lot of money overnight. And in that sort of 48-hour period, I literally said, okay, well, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, show me how I'm here to serve. And I got nothing. It was like radio silence for about 3 weeks, and I couldn't do anything. I had basically a migraine headache. I know this is a very long-winded.
There's no such thing.
It's good to give context.
Yeah.
And so about 3.5 weeks into this, I call it an episode, I heard the words real estate, and I was like, really? But it had been something 4.5 years before that my partner and I, who had also been in the industry for over 30 years, had talked about, discussed the idea of advocacy. But when this thought came to me, sort of in the space of about 48 hours, I was shown all the pieces of my life and all the experiences and what had strengthened me and who I knew I was to be. And I could see what I really was shown is the industry actually had room and an opportunity where I could make a real difference. Coaching, it was so saturated. And also I wanted to be out in the world. As much as I love my own time and my own company, and I need that, but I really felt like I just needed to be out in the world making a difference out there. And so I didn't have the confidence to start my own business after being out of the industry for 13 years straight up. So I sought out my old mentors and employers, and they were really, really positive and enthusiastic about me coming back in. And I ended up working for a small agency that said they had certain values and their values totally aligned. Unfortunately, their values were not. They didn't live and walk and talk their values. They were just simply all talk. I found that really hard. I was miserable, and I was so miserable it was enough to be the impetus for me to jump ship and go, okay, it's time. So that was January last year, so January 2024, and my partner and I launched the business in March, and so we've now been in business for over a year. And really last year was about crystallising who we are, how we do it, like that consistent message, and building really good relationships. So that's my answer.
That was the answer that I was expecting. So thank you. Tick. There are people who don't understand what real estate advocacy is, because most people just go about buying and selling houses and they just deal with a real estate agent and whatever. Tell us a little bit about that and what it means to you to provide the service that you do.
So everyone can go and buy a house, as you said, and everyone can go and source a house, negotiate on a house themselves, buy it for a price. We can all do that. I'm a big believer, and I more so as I've gotten older, that I stay in my lane and I engage people that are really good and that I trust to do something that I'm not doing on a daily basis. So if you look at the model and what's happened in the States over the years, there's pretty much one buyer's advocate per agent. So it has been the way it goes, because it's great as a vendor, as a client selling their home, they have somebody acting on their behalf, or you hope that they're acting on their behalf, not always. But then you've got someone who, I say a lot of people that are looking to buy are in a vulnerable place, because if you don't have relationship with agents, all the agents that you're dealing with, you don't know, every single agent, even within an agency, has a different strategy, a different way that they approach a sale, particularly when it comes to pre-auction, post-auction, private sale. Every single agent, if you ask them, what's your process, generally they're different. You don't often know the questions to ask. And as far as negotiation is a skill, it's an art. And then the other thing is actually ensuring, so what an advocate's really doing is doing all of that, but really ensuring that the decision you think you're making actually is in your best interests. Timing-wise, location-wise, is this the house that's actually going to set us up for long-term? Is this going to be a home? You know, what do we need within a home? It's not just 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a bit of land, but do we need spaces to connect? Do we need spaces to retreat from each other? What does that look like? So that to me, in the industry when I was working in traditional real estate, vendor advocacy and buyer advocacy were a thing, but it's certainly become really, really popular because what we're doing is really helping people make confident decisions that set them up well for the future.
Yeah. We have used a buyer's advocate before to buy a property, and we've had many properties throughout our lives, but this particular purchase was very, very emotionally charged. Like, we were moving to a suburb so our children could go to school, and, we were upping life to, it was miles away, 15 kilometres or something. It's not a huge deal. Not a huge deal. But we were almost prepared to pay whatever it took to get into the suburb so that our kids could be part of that community. And we would have made some really stupid decisions had our buyer's advocate not actually just at one point we were on the phone doing an auction and he was bidding for us, and he actually just basically said, I will not make another bid on your behalf, and he hung up on us. We told him, like, please be very firm because we need you to be supportive here. We had engaged him for a reason, and because we were just like stupidly going, yep, okay, yep, whatever,
Because we really wanted it.
Because we really wanted it.
Yeah. And even me as an accountant, this was a number of years
you
ago.
lose your sense
I
of...
lost my sense of
you just don't
responsibility
think what
at
you're
that point.
doing.
Yeah.
So,
because of all the reasons you said.
Correct.
Exactly. It's super emotional. So getting someone to be your support person who is going to help you make a guided decision is really important. And as you said, sometimes the agent is there to act on behalf of the vendor, right? Not on behalf of the buyer. So you're in a situation where they know who you are. Like, what we found was that the real estate agents in the area we were buying in really knew who we were and that we would pay
been
whatever.
Looking for a while.
So they, use that in their favour, which is exactly what they need to do, because getting the right price for their vendor is what it's about. So,
but that speaks volumes about the person you engage, because that's not always the way. Because obviously, as an advocate, a buyer's advocate, you get paid.
Correct.
You get paid when you purchase a property. So I've heard many stories of that not being the case.
Yeah.
And I've also heard numerous stories about agents and advocates working together.
Yeah.
And I heard one recently from a single woman, and she said, I didn't even feel like I was in the room. It was really taken, maybe it was the right thing to do, but the process in which it was these two, and nothing against men, because I've got three beautiful young men, but two male agents that negotiated this, and she didn't feel part of it. So that's not okay.
Yeah.
No.
And it's really important to get the right person, isn't it? And I think when you're engaging with somebody, it's important for them to understand what your motivations are and everything as well. It's a big these are life-changing decisions for most people. Yeah. So and very stressful things to do. Like, if you're a first home buyer and you are at your first auction and you are putting your hand up and you're all of a sudden going to come away with a very large mortgage, it's easy to make wrong decisions, isn't it? So.
And they're, So to avoid a really expensive wrong decision that will really pull the rug out from under you, it's not a new pair of jeans.
In terms of your clients, so what type of people do you deal with? Is it anyone, or is there a particular niche or market or set of people that you deal with?
Yeah, when I was unwell and I was shown how we could help, it was really, I believed our niche, or where I could make the most impact and value, would be in the space having separated and divorced. People that have gone through major loss, be that separation, be that loss of a loved one. Yep. Because I'd also gone through my own major life transitions and done it, I say, reasonably well. And I also, having coached for so many years in this space, can be with people when they're going through these things with grief and overwhelm and not be burdened by it, but also help them navigate that. So I really felt that was going to be a niche. And I still believe in my heart that there is room for that, but it hasn't proven to be so much in that space.
Yeah.
Right.
What we're finding is that we've been referred by numerous family lawyers to one side of the party.
Yeah.
And I was thinking more so, we haven't talked about vendor advocacy, but really being able to be the advocate in the home and to be able to support the two people to communicate, because often that's not happening.
Yes.
And that's not the agent's, either the agent's skill set or their desire is to actually be managing two people that are either not talking or there's a whole lot of tension. They're wanting to be front facing, talking with buyers, getting the house sold.
Yeah.
And so I really believed that that was going to be a place. So as I said, we've been referred by numerous family lawyers and found that one really wants to use us. And then what's happened is the other partner has said, well, if you want to use them, well, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
so that's been, anyway, as I said, I still believe that that's the avenue that I feel called to help. Right now, we've found that we've been helping more so single men and single women.
Yep.
Yes.
On the other side of separation, divorce, once there's been sort of some time, we've actually more recently been helping couples going through and a single woman going through the whole process, so buying and selling.
Yeah, okay.
Which I've loved.
Yeah.
You know, being able to help them manage the process, match settlements, which we've done.
I was going to say
That's
that
a
part
huge
is really
thing.
tricky.
Yeah. Support them, because you know there is high levels of stress when you've in both of these cases they'd bought first, but we were able to negotiate on both of these clients. We negotiated longer settlements than were advertised, so that gave them enough space. Connected them with all the sort of the professionals that they needed. I've got a couple of great mortgage brokers that were able to support them, and so they were very, very clear and confident as to the numbers and what they could do. So I love that. That felt like the entire package, the entire process. So they walked, we walked with them the whole way, and now, well, actually they're both settling later this month. So
Wow.
yeah, so that was, I say, fun. It was fun. And I feel my skills are really used in that process.
Yeah. Being able to align settlements, like that must be a huge relief. What is the feedback that you get from somebody when you say, I've managed to negotiate everything, so it's all just going to happen on the same day? Because that is like, there are stressful things in life, and that is one of the most stressful, I think, like having to think about what do I do with my furniture while, you know, that week of whatever, and just the...
Well, interestingly, one of them sold within 17 days. She literally handed it over to us, and I have to say, clients that do that, they really trust us. The process is so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's super successful when they have faith in you. The other client, or not so much the client, but the process, it was an interesting situation because two agents said there was such a disparity on price. I mean, we're talking $600,000
Oh, wow.
Okay.
price.
Yeah.
And so we elected to guide them to go with the agent that actually was more conservative, because that's what we believed, having done our own, because we always do due diligence. We don't just leave it up to the agents.
Yeah.
So we looked at what we thought the house was worth. But when you've got that as an owner, I put myself in their shoes, and you've got this disparity on price, and Bayside has been really tough, and prices, it's been super sensitive. So anyway, it ended up being a much longer drawn out process. It took 3 months to sell. But interestingly, I kept just saying, just want to make sure we match settlements, because I knew the amount of money it was going to cost per month, because we'd had that conversation, because I have very good relationships, obviously, with my clients, very open. So I knew how much it was going to cost, and I kept just saying, okay, well, we managed to sell the house within 6 weeks from the settlement and got and matched the settlement.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's not me. That's I don't know,
That's
what
the
we call
universe
that.
going back and saying Lisa's
You've
just
still
got
gotta-
everything in the row.
You still got to take credit for it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't take credit for that.
Yeah.
No.
But that's part of your skill and part
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
and what
And
you're
your
offering.
foresight, because
Yeah,
a
I
lot
just
of
was
people
really
would not
clear.
be thinking.
That's what I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if we can do that. But it wasn't just the money. It was the strain and the
Yes.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of her, I was thinking, if her moving out, she's a beautiful home, fully furnished.
Yes.
She'll want to move into her other home, her new home. how's that going to leave
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
We actually need to get this house sold.
Mhm,
And for her to be able to close the chapter
Yes.
and be able to move fully in and get into she's started another business. So I knew that was really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the property market, you mentioned Bayside. So what do you think? What's your take on the property market in general? If you want to add, give your guidance on it.
I was actually at an event last night with Westpac, and they had a property prestige event, and CoreLogic, the guy from CoreLogic came to speak, Tim Lawless, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's actually pretty good buying in a lot of parts of Melbourne and Mornington Peninsula. So I think, I don't have a crystal ball, but I reckon the next couple of years we're not going to see. I think it's just going to be quite slow and steady.
So the people you deal with, are they interest rate sensitive? So with the interest rate reductions and so on?
Not a great deal. It's more so. It's not so much that they're sensitive. It's more so I think it's the uncertainty of everything in the last 5 years that's made people uncertain. COVID, interest rates,
Yes.
what's going on overseas. I think all of that makes people hesitant and not so motivated. There are a lot of people I think have got their sitting on their hands. They have funds. But I think with all of the other things going on that we were talking about at the bank yesterday with the tax implications, all sorts of things, I think people are going to come back into the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, the Melbourne real estate market has always been an interesting thing, hasn't it? Just ups and downs and ebbs and flows and, prices increasing. But then, we're still really affordable in Melbourne compared to some other
Sydney,
cities. Yeah.
There's a greater gap. There's a much greater gap. That was interesting looking at the graphs last night. There's a much greater gap between Melbourne and Sydney. So we're finding we've even got people that are interstate in Sydney and we've been referred to buy investment properties in Melbourne and actually some down the coast. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think you might be right too. My gut feel is the same, that it's going to take a couple of years before, but it depends on what you read too. And this is, get all these different articles. The interest rates are down, property market's going to boom and this and that. I'm not so sure. No.
Yeah. We have not seen it.
Yeah.
When we had the first interest rate cut earlier this year, there was, I reckon, 10 days, 2 weeks when you could feel there was momentum. But I think that was just buoyed up by people and talk.
Correct.
And then it self-corrected. And it's been pretty, there's not a lot to look, when we've had clients that most of the clients that we've looked after to buy, which is an interesting stat, we've looked at one, maybe two properties for them. The last client we looked at literally 5 and it took 6 weeks, whereas the other clients were more sort of 2 to 3 weeks. We've just had, that just is the way it's been, but because there's less on the market, and off market. So you're really having to, like this last one we bought was off market through a contact of mine because I'd worked at Jules Craig years ago and I reached out to the director and I said, okay, can you put me in contact with someone? We need to buy something. So, so all of those relationships are really, they've been so valuable. Because the good agents are still in the industry. The good ones.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a really good segue into the next thing because it's about connection for you, right? So everything that you do relates to something that connects back to values, vision, purpose, all of that sort of stuff. And tell us a little bit about walking around the botanical gardens and how that came about and now how it has morphed into something probably bigger than what you thought it might be, but maybe you understood that there was a space in the market for that?
I had no plans, no vision on this one. It wasn't like Orium Co, my advocacy. I was like, there's these great people that I'm meeting, and I'd been going to other networking events and experiencing different networking platforms, and I was like, okay, this is not me. I'm going into rooms. It feels very staid. I feel like I'm having to give my card out, and I'm not. Oh, hi, I'm Lisa. I want to know you. I want to connect with you. So anyway, so I was walking around the town with one of my newer connections, and I said, I'm meeting all these amazing people. This is such a good way to walk and talk. Obviously, a lot of us started walking even more so during COVID, so we all know the benefits of that. And anyway, so I said, I'm just going to invite all these people. So 8 people turned up. This was April last year.
Yep.
But what I love is curating the matches. So because I would say I'm very in tune with people, and I was matching people not based on their roles, on their job titles, but based on who I thought there'd be synergies with. And so I did that, and then I gave sort of prompt question cards, and they loved it. And then 2 months later, one of the women who I'd initially walked with, she said, Lisa, you've got a business here. In the meantime, I had a very good friend who's involved with BNI who wanted me to start a chapter, and I was kind of thinking that would be the way to go. And then I had this and thought, well, a good friend said to me, Lisa, don't go and build somebody else's business, build your own.
Yeah.
So it's happened organically.
Yeah.
We now have over 20 members that have your annual members. We run 1 to 2 walks a month. I'm going to be running some events later this year, and I've got someone that's just come on board that really is interested to. She's much more with strategy and structure. I'm not. That's not me. I'm more vision, connection, people. So she's now built a website for us, and we've got some bit more structure in place. But still, it's not my main focus. My main focus is really getting Orium Co thriving and starting to make impact in the industry. That's like where my heart is.
Yeah.
And Walk Your Talk, I know will in time build, but it's just it doesn't have a lot of my time and energy. It's just kind of just bubbling along, and people are loving it. So
yeah. And I think that's what makes a really good business in this respect, is that people are building that because of the theory behind it, not because they're buying something from you, or you're providing any sort of strategy or booklets or anything like that. It is just purely because you're connecting people with other people, which is what you're about, right? So tell us about how people find it hard to connect other people to people. So it's more of a, I don't know who I would refer to, or I don't want to refer somebody to somewhere because they might not like each other, and then it impacts on me. What goes through your mind when you send emails to connect people together? Because I get them from you and I love it, and I always look at them like, Lisa, how do you know these people? And people say that about me as well. It's like Shane came back from a meeting just before and said, I was talking about this and the people apparently know you. I'm not sure, but apparently I do. So that's okay. But how do you do that? Like, what goes on in your mind when you say, I'm going to connect this person with this person?
Okay, this is going to sound a bit woo-woo.
That's okay. We're all for woo-woo.
Okay. I don't think it comes to me.
Yep.
So I will be like, I had an email from a contact of mine this morning. She's organising to catch up with me. And then I was like, I need to introduce you to, and I've introduced them to so many other people, and I've met Greg before in the past, but I was like, and straight away I knew that, so there's no question, there's no thought, it just literally drops in. I will be sitting with someone, or I'll see a post like I did with you, and straight away I'm not thinking about who I need to connect, I just know.
Yeah.
And then if I go back to all of those years in personal development had me see was who I am and what my God-given gift, my natural gifts, like not what I've had to learn. And I think one of the things about being a connector is when you are highly sensitive and you also are at a place where it's not about you, it's about others and really serving, you're fully present.
Yep.
And when you're fully present, you have access to information.
Yeah, yeah. And people connect with you naturally as well, don't they? Like you draw people to you because of who you are and because of what you give out, to the universe, to whatever. It's about connecting for you. Even in a room full of people, your presence is the sort of thing that can connect people. We went to a function at the end of last year where I didn't know anybody there other than the person I brought along with, and I saw you across the room, and I was there with another person, and you and the person that I brought to that event connected straight away because you had this, mutual knowledge of something, and then you just spent 15 or 20 minutes talking to each other about. I'm like sitting there going, okay, I don't really know what's being talked about here, so I'm just going to go over to the bar. But that's how you work, isn't it? You just have this intuitive way of understanding how to speak to people, and obviously that's not something that you've learned, but you've clearly spent a lot of time working on that and how you interact in the world around you. If you were to give advice, like if you're talking to your young people or if you're talking to people who want to come into the industry or whatever, what sort of advice would you give them as a young person moving through the world? Like if you could say to them, do these 2 or 3 things and, what would it be?
I would say so late, Andrea, because, I'm 53 now, and I honestly, I think until you're not centered on self, and I'm not saying I'm not all the time. I'm human, but I'm very conscious that I do not think I live much these days from what is in this for me. I think when you get to that place, then you're safe for people, you're interested in people, always curious because humans are fascinating for me. But what I would say to anyone coming in, I actually spoke at something recently and I had a lot of young women that are looking to get into the industry that reached out. I stay in your lane, and the way to stay in your lane is to find out, like you really need to know who are you, what do you value, and don't deviate. Like let people know who you are and then they'll know whether they want to work with you or know you. I think that's key. So the whole values thing I think is underrated, I think really. And understanding your and I know again why are you doing this? What's the driver? Because that's I think what connects us. Like what is that passion that has you want to do this? Because I just think that speaks volumes. And also surround yourself with 1 or 2 people that are doing it in a way that are, say, real estate, that are doing it in a way that you respect and you like, and ask them to mentor you. I mean, I never did, but I kind of had people. I had my ex-husband and I had my first boss around me that were amazing mentors. But that's something I think I'll probably do in time is mentor young people that want to come into an industry that actually is amazing, but you got to do it on your terms.
You said something just then, Lisa, that's really important. How do you be safe for people? Like how do you be that safe space where people can come to you and ask for advice? And because clearly your clients feel really safe with you because, you're honest or whatever the reason why they feel connected to you. What do you think it is about you that makes people feel like they are safe with you? Because it's a huge thing, isn't it? For young people looking for a mentor, for people looking for guidance around, huge life purchases. Where does that safety come from?
That safety is 53 years or thereabouts of mistakes, learning from mistakes, failures, learning from failures or what I considered failures, heartbreak, heartache, suffering, and learning from those things, and learning that in all of it I was the greatest judge, not anyone else. And so when you come to peace with that, then people can do whatever they do and you're not sitting in judgment, you're sitting in understanding.
Yeah, you've experienced it and you can relate. And I say the same things about mistakes are okay. If you learn from them and then you use them to then part that onto other people, your experiences and your knowledge. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a great answer because that's me. Yeah, and we've made plenty of mistakes along the way too.
Yeah.
And hey,
Who hasn't at this age? You know, it's part of it, isn't it?
But it makes people like I want to be around the people that actually are sharing that, because as soon as you're not sharing that part of, say in business or parenthood, like both of those areas lend themselves to mistakes, lend themselves to failure, and if we're not openly discussing those and being transparent about it, and I shared a post today with a part of a podcast where the opening was, I lost all this money. Now, in the past, I'd be like, oh, I can't do that because I'm in real estate and I need to be putting on this. But actually, no, because that then led me to come back into that was the silver lining in this.
Yeah.
And the more we can do that for the young, you know, which is what I'm always doing. My boys, I'm very open. They've seen all the mistakes I've made. They're yet to respect the mistakes I've made and how I've changed because of it. But I think that's what makes you safe, is that there's nothing off the table. My boys actually are very open with me and tell me things that they don't necessarily tell others because they know that I'm not going to judge them. Of course, there's certain things I don't like, but at the end of the day, I can't control it. I know I went through my own things, so it's just part and parcel of growing up.
Yeah. On that note, because we could go much deeper into all of these conversations, but perhaps that's another podcast for us to talk about those sorts of things and parenthood and all of the trials and tribulations that come with that, which, you know, our children probably don't want us sharing on a podcast anyway. But
no, I don't think so.
No.
Lisa, as we always do with this podcast, we will share all of your details for our listeners if they're looking for somebody who can give them advice about real estate and advocacy, because it's really important what you do, and the way you make people feel safe is actually the reason why I really respect where you come from, because it is a really tough gig. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have really loved having a chat. Thank you.
I've loved it. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Shane, so much.
Great.